Dianna Spanish senorita. All night drinking mojito. Me and she dancing the salsa. I want you to say, move it, suavemente. Move it, suavemente. Hola mama, Debbie, ¿qué pasa? Baby, ¿cómo se llama tú? Y muy bonita. I want you to be Miss Nora. So who is your mother? I want to be she sonila. Beg your little costa. Ay, está caliente. Move it.
WEFM, the clean, fresh sound.
WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All right, so time right now, it is 8:45, and we are back with you for another commentary segment of our Activating Mornings program here on WEFM. All right, so at this time, Doc will give us his commentary. But before, just to note that we have an interview scheduled at 9:20 this morning with Becky Ned, and she's a car enthusiast and rookie drag racer. Yes, Vinci has a female car enthusiast / rookie race driver, right? And our topic is the world of motorsports. It's not just for guys. All right. So that is coming up at 9:20. All right. But Doc, over to you.
Well, yes, everyone, you got it that I was out of the country over the weekend, but I got back safely on Sunday, and I drove from Rochester, which is in upstate New York, looking across to Canada, the Great Lakes, and it took me a while to drive down. I left Rochester sometime around 9:30 p.m., thinking I would reach down in time to catch my flight. And I tell you something, I was anxious. Because there were roadblocks, there were construction taking place. I came off the highway to try and get some coffee, but at that time I didn't realize that that was a daytime exit, and those places were not either near the highway or were they open. So you imagine come off the highway driving 3 or 4 miles and finding the place you're going to was closed. Had been closed since 9 p.m. Let me tell you. But what I want to talk about was that as I finally got near New York, my spirits were lifted. And I was approaching a bridge called the George Washington Bridge. And lots of construction was taking place. And I saw some flashing lights in the distance. I know the police might have stopped there. And so I said, wait, am I on the wrong side of the road? I've got to get there, And I tried pulling aside to get on to another section of road and realized, no, I was going off on like a grassy area. So I pulled back on and I drove past the police and went up. And then about 4 minutes later, as I was approaching the George Washington Bridge, I saw these flashing lights behind me. 2 police cars pulled me over. And all I was thinking about was El Salvador. I'm headed to El Salvador.
That's where your mind went to?
My mind says, I said, Gerald, stay calm. So they stopped me and said, did you know you crossed over the median? I said, no, I was on this side. I was on the express lane. And I saw the flashing light, and because there were several roadblocks before, I thought this was another diversion roadblock, and I'm trying to get to the airport because I have a flight at this particular time. So they said, we want to see your ID and your driver's license and everything like that. and I pulled out my diplomatic passport
Look at you.
and I gave
Perks,
them
perks,
my
perks.
driver's license. But that didn't deter them. They said, it says, where are you going? You have proof that you're going. I showed them my luggage. What's inside those things? Those things don't look like. In other words, I was being interrogated as if I had some sort of.
You look, it's now medical
contraband.
cannabis convention you had on your head. So supplies, Ebla.
Luckily,
We might
I
not hear the
wasn't-
rest of the story.
Luckily, I was dressed for travel, and I tried my very best to talk very calm, but they were quite aggressive. I felt they were trying to intimidate me a little bit, but I kept my calm, and I basically gave them the documents. I gave them the official documents from the car I had rented, so show that I had not stolen the car. And they went back. But you know what? They were there in their car checking me out for about 20 minutes. And I'm looking at the time, I'm going to miss this flight. I say, I'm either going to miss this flight or I'm headed for El Salvador. I'm going to miss this flight or I'm headed for El Salvador. They came back and they said, we're
I'm
very
so ready
sorry.
to put that in the title.
We're very sorry.
That missed almost
But
send us in El
what-
Salvador.
I then, on my return to St. Vincent, saw that the administration in the United States is contemplating suspending habeas corpus. Suspending habeas corpus. Now, you may say, what's not going with this? Habeas corpus. You know? Now, do you realize that habeas corpus actually exists in English law and is a fundamental principle of English law and, of course, Caribbean law? It is a legal action that requires a person in custody to be brought before a court to determine the legality of their detention according to the Cambridge Dictionary and according to law. The Habeas Corpus Act of 1697 in England is a landmark statute that defines and strengthened the writ of habeas corpus. Now, from the United States point of view, you know, this Latin phrase, as it's called, is legal action allowing a person to challenge and defend themselves, but challenge their detention or imprisonment, ensuring that they are brought before the court to determine if the detention is lawful. This legal principle, also called the great writ of liberty, or the American, is a fundamental protection against unlawful imprisonment. In other words, my thought of being sent to El Salvador was unjustified, you know, because they had not suspended habeas corpus yet. But this is something that they plan to do. Apparently, several times before, habeas corpus had been suspended for a short time. Pearl Harbor, when Pearl Harbor was bombed, Abraham Lincoln tried to do it, but the Supreme Court blocked him down. But later on, they gave him the go-ahead. And so it's not surprising that here in the United States, that the new administration is thinking of suspending habeas corpus so that individuals who are picked up, such as migrants, such as illegal residents, that they, by suspending habeas corpus, can be sent away to Libya, to El Salvador, without habeas corpus that determines their body or their live body. They have to be present to be able to defend themselves and have a hearing in court. I thought I would bring this up and twin it a little bit to my own little experience, but I I made it back.
And you're not
back.
even speaking Spanish.
I'm back. Here in St. Vincent Grenadines, and it's wonderful feeling the breeze, feeling. You know, I didn't come back and kiss
Thought you
the earth.
lost it
I didn't
a
come
minute
back
there.
and kiss the earth. I didn't come back and kiss the earth yet because people walk on the earth and all that kind of thing.
But you wanted to.
But
was it
but guess what? Out of the airport, I went, and the first thing I did, I bought some bakes and codfish.
because you almost missed it for a couple
and a
years.
soda water. And outside of the airport, and I relished. You know? Matter of fact, I was there. I went over while eating my soda water. Kingsley was there, so I was eating my bakes and codfish in front of Kingsley and so forth. But he was waiting for customer and so forth. So
All right, we have
you know,
a caller.
thank you.
They call. Go on. All right.
Sorry, man.
But was it white or black officers, or was it mixed?
It was 2 young white officers.
So that increased it too?
No,
That increased it?
I don't think so. I think that, this is just the nature of the game. I don't think I did an infraction. They thought I had crossed over the median, but I hadn't. I contemplated going in the opposite direction to go from the express lane to the local lane.
All right, we have,
not the other way.
okay, we have a caller. Hi, I believe it's Queens. Morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
When that gave that story, I don't know if you guys saw this video of Usain Bolt being pulled over driving in Miami. He was driving a Lamborghini in Miami. Did you guys see that video?
No, not what you're saying. I think there was one with a basketball player. Yeah, I saw that
a
one.
month ago. Yeah.
Yeah, he was driving a Lamborghini in Miami. I believe it's before Trump got in power. And he get pulled over by 2 white cops. And they asked him what he's doing in this neighborhood driving that vehicle. And they asked him for his driver's license, and black man, he showed them his Jamaica driver's license. And they say, you shouldn't be driving in this area. Then they say, can we put a search? And so he starts saying, why they need to search? And one of the police officers recognized him as Usain Bolt. And the other one say, I don't care if he could be the president of the United States.
Really?
It's not above the law. And by that time, a whole crowd of people gather. And they say, no, that's Usain Bolt. Leave him alone. You are targeting a black man. And after a while, they just give him back his document. They didn't search his vehicle and they allowed him to leave. But the whole idea is that you see this black guy driving a Lamborghini there,
The
That's
automatic.
the whole idea. These 2 white cops, racism
Listen,
if I was
Queens.
a white guy driving a Lamborghini, they may not have pulled him over.
Queens, I can assure you, I was not driving a Lamborghini. I was driving something nice, but I wasn't driving a Lamborghini. But many people know
But
this.
you kind of violated the law. The construction zone, you can't go into you can't drive into the construction zone. You might think people do that to try to get ahead of the other traffic.
No, I didn't actually.
So
I didn't actually do. Listen,
You made a mistake.
I know I didn't make the mistake they thought I made, right? I basically was on the express lane, and their flashing light gave me the impression that there was something wrong. But then when I realized it was just the police stopping somebody, I did not move over the median. I went on. But they thought I went from the local lane, crossed over the median into the express lane as a violation. Okay. Yes, but I didn't commit that violation. But I will tell you.
I did that already. So I didn't
no, Queens, that's right. In my younger days, when I lived there, I did have a Porsche 944 turbo, fire engine red.
You give me that story. I think you was in Florida or something, right?
No, and boy, I got pulled over all the time. until I went and I got MD plates, JT MD.
Medical doctor.
And they pulled me even more because they believe I was a doctor. But I tell you, Queens, it's good to be back in service. I don't envy you. No, I don't. Be careful up there, Queens. Be very, very careful. Okay.
All right, Queens. All right.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was his doc with his experience, a recent experience by being pulled over by police officers in the States. Doc, we're happy that you are here with us.
Thank you.
All right. We're happy that you are here because, anyway, let me leave that alone.
Yeah, and you're
All
happy
right?
I'm back.
Yes, definitely. I wouldn't have liked to have been sitting here this morning and say, oh, well, you're not going to be having Dr. Thompson again.
We can't fight it. We can't
Yeah,
fight
and he
it.
get lost in somebody's jail. All right.
No habeas corpus.
All right. So we're going to head on out at this time as it is 9 o'clock.
Nothing else sounds as good as